All right, this is the 2025 Toronto Grand Prix men's 400 meter freestyle long course. We are looking at lane 6. This is Quinn Matteis. Let's watch the race and then we'll do an analysis.
A reminder to coaches and swimmers, after the men's 400 meter freestyle is over, we will have 10 minutes in the pool to warm up for the remainder of our events.
Nice. Okay, Quinn, let's go right to the start. Let's check out your dive. And then after that, I think we'll do like the initial breakout, but then I want to go right, honestly, to a little bit of strategy and talking specifically about the 350-meter turn there coming to the end. But first things first. Let's see. So you've set. Let's see what moves next. Guile's beginning to pan right. Butt's starting to lift. So to me, that's telling me, because we're not seeing your shoulders and head dip, that it's kind of a press that's occurring, which is good. We want that press to be happening first. I like that extension on both legs. Not a huge fan of the slip in. Like, we want to have a slip in, but it's just a little loose looking to me. A little bit of a fall into the water rather than a jump out. I think a bit more tension in your core and through your glutes. Just overall, your trunk will help with that. But let's also look at this, sir. Crazy. Let's get that together. Right into some early kicks. One of the things about our dive is that it's the fastest we're ever going to be moving. It doesn't really matter how fast you are as a swimmer. Your dive is faster. Swimming is slow. We want to preserve that speed as best we can. And interestingly enough, there is just a moment after the entry where just holding the streamline, and I'm talking about a fraction of a second. I'm not asking for anything that even comes close to thinking about how we think of the breaststroke pullout underwater. But the same theory applies. You can give it a beat, maybe 2 beats, where you're not initiating your kick. You're going to be traveling just as fast as if you are kicking, because kicking is pulling yourself out of streamline, and unless your power is wild, your kick isn't actually going to do much other than maintain your speed off of the start. It shouldn't be able to increase your speed off the start. If it's increasing your speed off the start, I don't know what you're doing in the air to fall in the water. So let's use that speed on the dive. You can just give it just a beat before you start kicking. Because we can see that you are, this is half speed. You're already kicking. We see the down kick on there. You can just pause and then get into the kick. But for what the kick's worth, looking pretty good. I like the breakout. Now, getting to what I was talking about earlier, the strategy at the 350. You just exemplified what I want you to do basically every turn, but especially the turn that you've made your move at, which I believe is around here, right? So, I mean, in classic distance swimmer fashion, we're going to watch you literally decide to make your move. Swimming strong. I mean, maybe it occurred a little bit earlier, but I think actually, there you go. Picking up. Moving in. I think maybe before I went to the wrong spot, but regardless, you're coming into your final 100. You know what you're doing. Now, here's the thing. Look how hard you're working, right? Look at this. Let's just cut right into the middle. Oh, that was perfect. This is a prior length. Look at the difference in that stroke. Right? Clearly much easier, right? You haven't made your move yet. Gosh, I'm almost good at that. But here's the thing, right? You're trying to drive. You're pushing. You're theoretically wanting to catch this guy. Independent of that, you're trying to throw down your best time. You're trying to make sure that you're leaving nothing else in the tank. By taking a breath right off the get-go, you are hamstringing yourself from having that high potential. That initial breakout, way back here, let's watch full speed. You give yourself every opportunity to be operating at the highest potential speed because you break out, you take 4 solid strokes, before you do anything that's going to hamstring yourself, i.e. breathe, i.e. shorten your stroke, okay? Then you settle, right, into your system, right, the thing you're comfortable with, the thing you've been training for, and that's awesome. We want you to settle into what you practice for, right? That's the importance of practice. Do the thing you want to be good at. But here's the thing, and I'm going to guess that we're going to see a breath off the start here. Yeah. You do such a good job in the early 50, and I think that there's a low-hanging fruit here that you can improve on. If every wall you treated like it was your dive in and your first breakout. Looking at my mouse here, just, looking like a Y and an X graph, okay, just sort of in your mind. Let's use the black line as actually like the axis line, okay? About halfway is the X. If we have high potential over the course of an event, over the course of even just a single length, like the expectation is obviously that we're going to fatigue and get worse, right? We start here and over distance and time we go down. Okay, and there's the end of the length, okay? The turn lets us, maybe increase that potential velocity, increase that potential speed, and then coming back, it's going to go lower, and theoretically we just kind of keep getting low until we're done the race, all of our lengths are done. Is that actually how it works out in a real race? No, obviously not. Generally, we train so that it looks a bit more like this, right? We're constantly hovering in a pace. The point is, we want to start from the highest potential opportunity, because if we start up here and then over the course of the length we lose and we go down to here, if we start down here and we track the same thing, we're going to end up at a lower point. Breathing off of the start is setting yourself up for essentially failure, right? I want you to start thinking about the first 3 strokes as your potential to establish the stroke rate you want, right? So if you're making a move, that can be a reiteration of I'm hitting the stroke rate that I want. It could be 3 strokes to establish the hold of the stroke, and critically, let's not put breathing into that mix, right? You're breathing most of the rest of the entire event, so I don't think I'm actually worried about, and I don't think you should be worried about, I'm not getting enough oxygen if I don't breathe right off the start. Like, you're going to take 3 more strokes, and yeah, maybe that's going to be a little bit more stress, but it's not like you're doing, I'm only breathing every 5 strokes. You're breathing every stroke cycle. You're going to get air. You're going to be able to get that. So I'm not worried about messing up your oxygen. What I'd rather do is that if we got 3 strokes where you were able to go even, here's the great thing is, let's say that you want to be operating at I don't have my watch in front of me. I can't take your stroke rate here. I should when I'm doing these videos. But if you, let's say this is a 40 stroke rate. If you were talking to Byron and Linda about what's the strategy here, well, I want to be operating at a 45 stroke rate, okay, for as much of it as possible. It's easier to go from a 45 stroke rate to a 40 stroke rate than it is to go from a 40 stroke rate to a 45 stroke rate. It's also easier to go from a 50 stroke rate to a 45 stroke rate than it is to stay at 45 strokes and not drop to 45. So it's like, maybe for the first 3 strokes, you're shooting for 45, you get it in your head exactly what 45 is, or maybe even what 48 stroke rate is. First 3 strokes of every length, and you go, this is 48 strokes, and then you let yourself settle every single length. But then when you know you're settling, you know that you're settling into the appropriate stroke rate. You're not hitting halfway through the pool going, oh God, I need to increase stroke rate, right? I know that making a move takes time to occur. You don't just get to increase effort and then suddenly see an increase in velocity. It takes like 5 meters, 5, 6, 7 stroke cycles for actual speed to be increased after energy starts being burned. Let's not fight that fight. Let's completely sidestep that fight. If we push off the wall, right, and we establish the stroke rate at the highest potential speed that we're going to be operating at immediately, and then see a stabilization throughout the rest of the race, or rather the rest of the length, I think that's going to be to our advantage. But overall, you look really, really easy throughout this entire 400. So I'm really liking it, dude. You're very consistent. I'd maybe think about your left arm. It looks like it might be just a titch crossing over, but don't worry about that too much, right? Worry about your cadence, worry about your power and your stamina. And here's the thing, like, I would recommend thinking about strategy and tactics. But great race, dude.